So we have an update when it comes to the upcoming Impact Wrestling television tapings. Now, I must stress this is a rumour, or kind of a rumour / report that we're hearing, but we're hearing some interesting stories and rumours and information regarding this upcoming Impact Wrestling television tapings because there is a backstage rumour on possibly a non-Impact Wrestling talent attending the TV tapings this week for Impact Wrestling on AXS TV. Now, according to an update from Fightful Select, which is Fightful's Patreon service, so be sure to check that out and subscribe. They do drop a lot of very good information about the likes of WWE, Impact Wrestling, AEW. If it's pro wrestling, they'll talk about it behind that paywall, so be sure to subscribe there. But according to a report by the guys over there at Fightful on Fightful Select, Impact Wrestling will have a quicker turnaround for its next set of TV tapings. Now, Impact is reportedly slated to film more TV programming between February 9 and February 11. Of course, February 9 is today, so they're going to be doing quite a few TV tapings over the course of the next few days this week. Now, according to Fightful, a source has said to them that at least one name who is currently not part of the Impact Wrestling roster will appear at these TV tapings. Now, of course, Impact Wrestling right now, as we've covered at various lengths here on the channel, is currently in a crossover with AEW. They have a working relationship. They have an open borders policy when it comes to talent going back and forth between them. We've seen the likes of AEW World Champion Kenny Omega appear on Impact Wrestling. We've seen Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Champions, the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Kyle Anderson, appear on AEW frequently alongside the likes of Impact Wrestling Executive Vice President Don Callis. We've seen recently AEW star and former Impact Wrestling star Matt Hardy return to Impact Wrestling, bringing with him Private Party. Of course, Private Party are also the #1 contenders for the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Championship. So there has been a lot of crossover, and potentially we could see this continue at the next set of TV tapings. Maybe, just maybe, we might even see another AEW name come to Impact Wrestling. Now, with regards to talents not contracted to Impact Wrestling appearing at the TV tapings, Matt Cardona recently told Fightful that he didn't find out he was going to be appearing on Impact Wrestling until the Friday before he taped his appearance. So it's certainly possible that other talents might be confirmed for the upcoming set of TV tapings later this week. So certainly an interesting story. Now, I know what some of you might say when you hear that story from Fightful Select. It's very, very vague. I agree with you. I do agree with you. I think if, and this doesn't mean to take a shot at Fightful or anything like that, or anyone that has content behind a paywall, Patreon. Look, it's 2021, it's tough times. I get it, and I understand that it's a business at the end of the day. But if you were to pay for a certain amount of information, or expect to see a certain amount of information, and then you pay for it, it's behind a paywall, and basically you're told someone might, that isn't contracted to Impact Wrestling, is going to appear at the next set of TV tapings. Isn't that basically what's par for the course of Impact Wrestling right now? There are a ton of talents that are appearing on the Impact Wrestling show that aren't contracted to Impact Wrestling or haven't signed deals with Impact Wrestling. I mean, we can rattle them off. Matt Cardona was named. He's not signed to Impact Wrestling right now. James Storm, he's not signed to Impact Wrestling right now. Alex Shelley. I mean, if Alex Shelley does appear, I don't know if he's been vaccinated yet. We don't know, but he's not contracted to Impact Wrestling. He doesn't want a contract right now. There are obviously Matt Hardy, Private Party, Tony Khan, Jerry Lynn. I mean, there are a plethora of names right now that are appearing on Impact Wrestling television every single week, and they're not contracted to the company. So you can read into this however way that you would like. The way that I'm reading into it, because just because they've reported it a certain way, Fightful, doesn't necessarily mean that they haven't been told the whole story. In wrestling journalism, sometimes it can work as a situation whereby they're told exactly what's happening, and they're told, look, don't report the finer details of this. You can hint at it, you can speculate on it, but you can't actually say who's going to appear. So maybe Fightful do have the information of who is going to be actually appearing at these TV tapings this week. We just don't know at the end of the day. We just don't know, and we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. I would suspect when they say that someone who isn't actually part of the Impact Wrestling roster is going to appear this week, I would suspect most likely they mean that it's an AEW talent or someone of that nature. Who could that be? I mean, there are a variety of names that it could be, right? I mean, we've spoken about it at length here on the channel about names potentially that could cross over to Impact Wrestling. We can go through a few right now. I think I mentioned before, Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, I think, certainly a possibility. Why is Chris Jericho a possibility? Well, Obviously, he has the connection with Don Callis. Of course, they are longtime friends. Grew up in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Chris Jericho as well has flirted with the idea of going to Impact Wrestling on several occasions. Most notably in 2018, around the period of time when he was going to do the Alpha Omega match in New Japan Pro Wrestling, he held talks with Impact Wrestling and Don Callis and Scott D'Amore and Ed Nordholm, and he basically has come out and said since then, look, I was very, very close. I was very, very close to going to Impact and doing a few matches there because they offered me a really, really good deal. And I mention it a lot here, that it's kind of a myth, or it's kind of just something that isn't true when people say, well, Impact Wrestling, they don't have a lot of money, they're not well backed. They are. And several very famous pro wrestlers have come out and said that. Chris Jericho has come out and said that. Like I said, in 2018, he said, look, I was very, very close. They offered me a really good deal. It was only going to be only a couple of matches. I could do whatever I wanted with whoever I wanted. They were going to offer me a load of money, and I was going to do it. The only reason that I didn't do it was because this thing called AEW was founded by Tony Khan, and then Tony Khan offered me the most money in my career, so I went to sign with them, and now I'm an AEW wrestler. So that was the case with Chris Jericho. Kenny Omega was exactly the same. And Kenny Omega since then has gone on to make an appearance for Impact Wrestling, even wrestle matches, and is going to be continuing wrestling matches for Impact Wrestling in the future. So Chris Jericho, there's no doubt in my mind that Chris Jericho would look at the situation when it comes to Kenny Omega, and I've mentioned this before, that he'll think, I can do better. I can and I will do better. Chris Jericho is the type of guy that would have seen the impact, pun intended, that Kenny Omega made when he made his Impact Wrestling debut, the record ratings on AXS TV, quadrupling the numbers on Twitch, all that kind of stuff. Chris Jericho would have seen all of that, and Chris Jericho would have looked at it, and being the alpha male that Chris Jericho is, being the competitor that Chris Jericho is, he would have looked at that and said, well, you know, if I did it, we would have got bigger ratings, and it's Kenny Omega appearing, but I'm Chris Jericho, and I can beat that. So I have no doubt in my mind that Chris Jericho would have, at the very, very least, had a conversation with Don Callis over the course of the last couple of months and said, you know what, I wouldn't mind coming in for a set of TV tapings. As I mentioned, they're taping for 3 days this week. They'll tape for 3 days, and they'll tape probably 4 or 5 weeks worth of television. So if Chris Jericho's at these TV tapings, he'll be on Impact Wrestling television for possibly 4, 5, 6 weeks. That would be massive. That would be huge for Impact Wrestling. So Chris Jericho's a name that I think is a possibility. Other names, Jon Moxley does have potential. Jon Moxley does have potential. Of course, Jon Moxley obviously is going to be in this rivalry with Kenny Omega at the moment. He also is kind of transitioning into that whole Kenta feud as well, because obviously he and Kenta are going to be facing off for the IWGP United States Championship. Kenta appeared on Dynamite Beach Break last week. He's going to be wrestling on Dynamite this week. I don't know if they would bleed that over to Impact Wrestling. I don't know if you would have a Jon Moxley and Kenta come over to Impact. I don't know if that makes the most sense. What does make a lot of sense, if it's Jon Moxley, is getting involved with Sami Callihan, of course. Now, he could be involved with Sami Callihan because they were part of the Switchblade conspiracy on the independent scene and in CZW back in the mid to early 2000s. That is a possibility. And whether or not Jon Moxley wants to come and reunite with Sami Callihan, that could be that could happen. That does have potential. I think what could be more likely, though, is that once again we have Kenny Omega appearing during these Impact Wrestling television tapings, and then we see a Jon Moxley sort of invade the Impact Zone, as it were, to try and get some retribution against Kenny Omega. I've been saying that for a while, that what better way to play up that Jon Moxley is this sort of crazed madman than by invading the Impact Zone and trying to go after Kenny Omega. That would certainly be something quite fun, and certainly something quite interesting to see if they could pull that off. Again, I don't know. But again, you could look at it another way, certainly. There could certainly be a situation whereby it's not an AEW talent, it's just an Impact Wrestling star that hasn't signed a contract, whether that is Matt Cardona, whether it is James Storm, whether that is Alex Shelley, whether that is Thea Trinidad, Selena Vega. Her 90-day non-compete clause is up. And Fightful did recently report that that was the case, that her 90-day non-compete clause was up. So, you know, Selena Vega, she has history. She certainly has history with Impact Wrestling. She was there before as part of, was it Mexican America? As Rosita, one half of the Knockouts Tag Team Champions with Sarita. So she does have potential there. I think she doesn't want to get out of pro wrestling. So who knows? Maybe Thea Trinidad might come in and be part of Impact Wrestling at the TV tapings this week. They just lost a major knockout in Taya Valkyrie. So if that is the case, there certainly is a big hole for a big talent there to come in and fill. Maybe that talent to come in would be a Zelina Vega, and certainly would make a lot of people get a lot of people talking. Why would she go to Impact? Well, I've mentioned this before. She has a lot of history with the company. You have to think about the people that are involved there as well. Tommy Dreamer was really one of the driving forces to get her into Impact Wrestling the first time around, and she credits Tommy Dreamer with helping her to get into pro wrestling in the first place, helping give her opportunities, training her, giving her chances when other people wouldn't. And who's at Impact Wrestling right now? Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer is still involved with Impact Wrestling. Of course, he's involved in front of the camera right now. He's involved in an Impact World Championship feud with Rich Swann. They're going to have the match at No Surrender on Saturday. But also he does work behind the scenes as well. He is a prominent producer. He does help out with creative as well when it comes to Impact Wrestling. So I have no doubt that maybe Tommy Dreamer and Zelina Vega would have at least had a couple of conversations to say, look, when your non-compete clause is up, which it is, you can come into Impact Wrestling. We're not like other companies where we're going to tie you down to long contracts or any contract. You can come and do a couple of TV tapings, see how you feel. If you like it, we can talk. If not, you can come in, come out. It would just be great to get you on television and see how you feel about pro wrestling at the time. That wouldn't be the strangest thing in the world. So there certainly is a lot of names out there right now, whether they are contracted to Impact Wrestling or not, that could appear at this TV taping. So again, it is very vague, and I understand some frustrations that some of you might have to say, well, this is really, really vague. What does this mean? I don't know. I don't know. Not necessarily a bad thing, I suppose. We complain when things are spoiled ahead of time, and it's not often as a pro wrestling fan nowadays that you can be surprised and genuinely surprised when you're watching any product, let alone if it's Impact, WWE, AEW, whatever. And when there is a good surprise, it certainly gets people talking. And frankly, Impact Wrestling have done a really good job of bringing people in, and not a lot leaking out recently, which is really difficult when you do tape shows so far in advance. But Impact Wrestling has done it. No one saw the Matt Hardy stuff coming. Nobody saw the Private Party stuff coming. Nobody saw the James Storm stuff coming. Nobody saw that Tony Khan was actually going to appear in person on Impact Wrestling, and the Jerry Lynn stuff. So Impact Wrestling recently, and the Trey Miguel stuff as well, no one really saw that coming. All of the surprises that Impact Wrestling have pulled off recently, nobody has seen coming. So this has really been the closest that anyone has kind of reported about a potential Impact Wrestling surprise. So it would lead one to think that maybe, if you want to look at this from another point of view, maybe Impact Wrestling have told this to the guys at Fightful, told this to the guys at Fightful Select, and are basically saying, you put this story out, drive a bit of interest, get people talking, because then it will have people tuning into Impact Wrestling over the course of the next few weeks to see who is this person that isn't part of the Impact Wrestling roster, that is going to be showing up. I mean, it could be from AEW, could be from New Japan, could be from AAA, could be from anywhere. It could just be a free agent. We don't know. Certainly is something very exciting and something I'm interested about. Let me know who you think it is in the comment section below. That'll be super interesting. It'd be nice to get a big thread of predictions going for who this person could be. But of course, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on this rumor about a possible non-Impact Wrestling name set to appear at the next set of TV tapings this week? Let me know your thoughts and predictions in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about Impact Wrestling, WWE, AEW, New Japan, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved in the community, drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out here on YouTube. Go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. There's going to be a lot of Impact Wrestling stuff coming this week. Of course, it's No Surrender on Saturday and NXT TakeOver on Sunday, so we'll be doing watch-alongs for both shows. We're doing predictions videos, news videos, you name it, preview videos. We'll be talking all about Impact Wrestling this week, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single thing. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today, and I'll speak for you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.